Hey everyone, welcome to Unleashed with Scarlett Johnson, presented by Moms for Liberty. And today I am joined by a special guest, Alexa Anderson. She is a collegiate track and field athlete from Oregon and one of the few young women in America brave enough to take a public stand for fairness in female sports. I'm so glad that you could join me, Alexa. We first met in person when we were in Orlando at the Moms for Liberty Joyful Warrior Summit, where you were a panelist on one of our favorite events that we did of the summit. You were with Jennifer Say and you're with your other two friends that will be joining me later on today. And we're going to discuss kind of the same thing. So I want to introduce you to everyone first. I got a little bit of your bio from your mom. And yes, it says you're wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad she has good things to say.
You're amazing. So, very proud mom, very proud parents. You are a student athlete from Oregon. You're originally from Oregon. You compete in track and field for the University of South Alabama. You were an Oregon high school state champion in the pole vault. Trouble speaking much, yeah. And finished off your senior year 8th in the nation. That's really impressive. Since then, you've become an advocate for the protection of women's sports after taking a stand against Oregon's allowance of biological males in the women's sports division. So that's like just a little nutshell, but there's so much more to learn about you. And I want to talk about the fact that you were just recently given an award. That is very prestigious. But let's start off with just to talk about yourself, like when did you start playing sports and what has female sports meant to you?
I have been an athlete from as long as I can remember. My parents put me into gymnastics when I was young. I was just that crazy, energetic kid that needs somewhere to go. So I was a gymnast for about 9 years until my freshman year of high school. And then from there, I moved on to play volleyball and track and field for my entire high school career. So in track and field, I do the events of pole vault and high jump mainly. And then I did volleyball my entire high school career. Now I do track and field in college. But women's sports has been so crucial to me growing into who I am. It's really been a safe space for me to not only grow as an athlete, but grow as a person and learn about my independence, motivation, time management, all these different skills that it has given me that have helped me get to where I am today to be a collegiate athlete.
So now you talked that you were in gymnastics young, and I'm the mom of 4 girls, and they have all been in different athletic, things. My oldest daughter, she was really a really good ballerina. She was very into ballet when she was little, since she was 2 years old, and all the way up until high school. I have another daughter that plays basketball. She's in high school and she's been playing basketball since she was in kindergarten. I have daughters that have played, all sports. I have one that's she's really into cheer, track and field. My son, soccer, tennis. So it's a huge commitment, right? Since you're little, like when you were involved in gymnastics, what did that entail for you?
When I was involved in gymnastics, I was a competitive gymnast, which means I was part of a competitive team that would travel and stuff. So from the age of about 7 years old, I believe, I was practicing 25 to 30 hours a week. We'd have practice 5 days a week, about 4.5, 5 hours a day from the age of 6 all the way up until about, I think I was 14 or 15 when I quit that sport.
Yeah, and you didn't take time off in the summers, right? You were
No.
competing, then driving, going to events, driving probably around your community, then your state, and then probably the whole country, because that's how it is now. With even by the time kids are in middle school, they are in clubs, they are competing, they have to have lots of practices, lots of personal training, all of that, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's a huge commitment, not only for me, but for my family and everything as well, to be involved in so many sports that are so high intensity from such a young age.
What made you stop doing gymnastics and to start to do sports in high school?
I quit gymnastics because I kind of outgrew it. I'm 5 feet 11, little tall for gymnasts. If you look at our Olympic team, I think the tallest one was about 5'3". So I quit just because it wasn't right for my body type. But I went into high school athletics. I joined volleyball, obviously, because I'm tall. And then in track and field, I mean, pole vault's about the closest you can get to gymnastics. You're going upside down, you're swinging over bars on this bendy stick. So I saw that and I'm like, hey, I want to go do that. That looks awesome.
And then when you're involved in high school athletics, then you're part of the whole school, the school spirit. Where I know when my daughter was in ballet, and they didn't have any sort of ballet in middle school, so she often had to do things separate from everyone else. She couldn't go to events like everyone else, and when she got to high school, she made the decision to do dance and track and field at high school, just like you did, because she wanted to have a normal high school life. Was
Yes.
that part of your decision making too?
Yes, I mean, I think that the team aspect of sports and being involved in that community, especially amongst a high school, is so amazing and so important. I made so many friends that I am still friends with to this day. They're all back in Oregon. I'm out here in Alabama, and we still all talk because we were brought together by this sport that had us training together for hours, weeks, months, and just going through all these life milestones together. So it's a really amazing thing to be involved in.
And it's great for girls to be involved in sports because, like you said, the camaraderie, the discipline, and you're so busy as from a parent perspective, you guys are so busy you can't get into trouble. Like, you're
Yeah.
so you can't party. You just have to study and do your sport, do the training. Usually, you're involved in some extracurricular clubs so that you can stay conditioned for your sport when the season comes. So, yeah, parents of girls love their girls to be involved in sports because they tend to be really nice girls. All of my daughter's friends, they're all such really sweet girls, and they don't get into a lot of trouble. They just don't have the time for it.
Yes, definitely. I'm so happy about all the people that I've met and grown close with through women's sports. It's really been a big part of my life. I mean, ever since I was little. So,
Yeah, it teaches you learn things. There's important lessons, and it looks great on your college applications that you've participated and you've stuck with something
yes, definitely.
and the team spirit. So what happened to you? What did you start to see in your high school that was concerning as far as female sports?
It wasn't directly in my high school, but in Oregon the past couple years, we have started seeing a growing transgender population, which I am a huge believer in the fact that people should live their lives the ways that make them happy. And I am not someone to tell you who you can and cannot be. I am not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, anything like that. But as we are seeing this transgender population in these states grow, in states like Oregon, we don't have any protections for who is allowed into women's sports. The only statement in the Oregon Schools Activities Association handbook is that athletes can compete in their consistently asserted gender identity. So as soon as they alert the school that they've transitioned genders, they're just coming into the female category with fully biological male, like hormone levels, all that kind of stuff. So we started seeing that in Oregon, which was very concerning to me, not only from a safety standpoint, but from a fairness standpoint.
So even if you're in a school where maybe you don't have a specific policy, you're lucky enough, especially in Oregon, you're lucky enough to not have a policy that takes the word sex out of their handbook, but meaning biological sex, male and female, and instead
Yes.
inserts gender, which I don't believe in anymore. There was 5 years ago, I didn't understand the difference between gender and sex, and now because gender is this amorphous, it can be anything. It's self-determined. Every day you can decide to be a different gender, and that quote is direct from. I have been to seminars that are professional development for educators. And that is exactly what they say. Every day, a kid can come into the classroom and be a different gender. And it's a surprise every day. And this educator said, and I'm learning every day. Every day there's something new. There's a new gender. So when they try to tell you that they don't believe that they just believe in gender doesn't mean that you can't identify as a rock, they're actually not being truthful, because there are even guides to using rock pronouns and a lot of nonsense. It's a lot of nonsense. But that policy means that anyone can just any day walk in and say, I identify as a female, even though they are a male, they presented as a male for all of their, all of the time that they've been in the school. Say, I'm a male, I'm a female now, and I want to try out for the female team. I want to use female bathrooms, female locker rooms, and schools can shrug their shoulders and say, well, what can we do? That's what they identify as. So we just have to go along with it. And that is something that you heard about, but you didn't see in your own school. So when did you first have to compete against a biological male?
I first competed against a biological male this past spring in the 2025 track and field state championships. There was an athlete from another school who I was aware was transgender, and I had found out had made it to this meet, and that was the first time that I had competed with them.
And did you know ahead of time that this person was going to be, I'm going to bring up the news story. Did you know ahead of time that this person was going to be competing with you?
Yes, ma'am. They had been competing in the women's division all year. I just hadn't personally competed against them.
And so here, I'm pulling this up. There we go. So this was about 5 months ago, correct?
Yes, it was in May.
In May. So, so what happened? So describe to us, who we weren't there. Now, I had been watching this story, and I know that there were members of Moms for Liberty and other parental rights organizations that started to attend these events because this became such just a huge viral story, such an obvious injustice. So describe the events of the day. What happened?
Yeah, we went into the meet just like you would normally start it out. We all competed, we jumped. I know that I personally, as well as several other girls, had considered not even competing at this meet because we just didn't feel that it was fair. But at the end of the day, I chose to compete not only for myself because it was my senior year, but for my team because I was in a place where I could score points to help out my team. And that just wouldn't be fair to take away that from them as well. So we decided to compete. I took third. Reese Eckard, the other girl who stepped off the podium, she took fourth, and the transgender athlete tied for fifth. Me, Reese, and several of the other girls were kind of talking. We were very upset by the lack of protections that the people in Oregon haven't given us girls in our sports. And we all kind of talked about, what should we do? So Reese and I decided we're going to step off the podium. Like, we're going to send a message that this isn't a fair competition. This isn't fair protections for all of us girls. And there are so many girls who are going to be losing opportunities, losing titles, that kind of stuff to biological men. So many other girls had said they were going to step off the podium with us, but in front of all those eyes, it was really scary. So Reese and I ended up stepping off together, and I'm very grateful that she was by my side for all of this.
Although at least you had some. And now I'm going to play right here. I'm going to play a little clip that's on, and I don't know if everyone will get here. Let's try and get this.
It's our top finalists, Sydney 6'8" girls high jump. In 8th place from Lincoln, Lily Mather. In 7th place from Grants Pass, Callie Brandis. A tie for 5th place, Grants Carly Gendritza. Also in 5th place from Miami Wells, Leah Rose. 4th place honors to Sherwood's Reese Eckard. In 3rd place from Tigard, Alexa Anderson. Your runner-up from South Bedford, Paige Shipper. And your 2025 6'8" girls high jump state champion, she jumped 5'1" for Mountainside, Catherine Phillips.
So you can see from that clip, I know because you could be distracted by the setting up in the front, but you could see when they were calling you up to the podium, the two of you step down and then you turn your back to the podium and very respectfully just put your hands, behind your back, and you're just very respectfully doing something that is a peaceful protest and completely, I think amazing and brave, because like you said, look at all of those people around you, and you decided you just had to show, you had to say something. You had to say, like, this isn't right. I can't go along with this. So what happened afterwards?
Yeah, afterwards, we stepped off the podium. An official kind of told us, you guys need to get out of the way. We're going to take some photos. So we got out of the way, which is kind of upsetting because we weren't allowed to kind of protest and use our First Amendment rights. But after that, we left that meet. I honestly didn't think anything was going to come of that. I was like, oh, two high school girls stepped off the podium. No one really knows why. No one probably really cares. And all of a sudden, I get all these messages that, like, Riley Gaines is reposting what we did. And all these other people are just reaching out with support, saying, like, hey, we saw what you did. Congratulations. Thank you for standing up. And it has just turned into this really amazing thing, and I'm so happy to be a part of this movement, the movement to protect girls' sports along with so many other inspiring girls.
Yeah, it became a very big deal because of social media.
Yes.
There was a recording of what happened.
A powerful moment in Oregon when two female high school track stars refused to share the podium with a biological male athlete at the state's track and field championship back in May.
So we're going to get back to this, but just to see, that's a better, clear picture of what you guys were doing there. And I've got right here. So here's a kind of close up. And there you're getting your award, which we'll talk about later too. But so this image just goes completely viral. Millions and millions of millions watch this and repost it, and they cheer you on. And there's haters too.
Yes, there are.
So there was some of that. So what happened when you got home and suddenly you realize this is going completely viral? Riley Gaines is reposting this. Were you asked by news outlets to come speak, to get on the news?
Yes, pretty much as soon as it happened, the next day we were getting emails, text, Instagram DMs from people supporting people who were like, hey, we want to talk to you, we want to interview you guys. Just a lot happened really, really fast. I was just in complete shock.
And then, then you had to turn to your parents, right? And your parents had to decide, what are we going to do with this? So how did that conversation go?
My parents have been amazing. They have always supported me in everything, and I had talked to them before the meet, and I said, hey, this is what is going on. This is what we're thinking about doing. And they're like, we love you. We have your back. Like, whatever you want. So after the meet, when we started getting all of this attention, and it was kind of like, oh, what do we do now? I was talking to my mom about it. She's like, Alexa, you're 18 years old. It's your choice. This is your fight. You can choose to continue it and continue standing up, or you can kind of take a step back. And I kind of took that personally. I was like, I don't want to take a step back now. I've already stood up. I've already put myself out there in a uncomfortable situation because this is such a sensitive topic for so many people, and I'm not going to back down now. I'm going to continue voicing my opinion until we can get change and get these protections.
So at this time, had you already accepted have you decided where you were going to college? Did you think that this decision was going to affect your ability to go to the college of your choice?
I had already committed to a college in Alabama, which is typically a very conservative state, so I was not too worried about what would come from that, but I was definitely worried about, like, the institution, like, since all these are public institutions, is there going to be any backlash from my high school? Is there going to be any backlash from my potential college in the future? It was definitely kind of like a waiting game, getting in touch with people, seeing, hey, is this all okay? Like, are we all good, you know?
How did this go with your friends? How in your community, did you face any backlash, or was it mostly supportive?
It was about 50-50. I mean, I had a lot of people who were super, super kind, who were reaching out to me, coming up to me in person, but I also had a lot of friends at school who were just not being super nice, and people who were calling my high school and like threatening them and saying, expel this girl, like all this kind of crazy stuff, and making threats about like me walking at graduation, potential stuff like that. And it was just crazy to see so much hate come from such a peaceful kind of movement that we were trying to create. So it was very mixed.
So, and now for adults, especially like me or like a lot of our followers, it might be something that they're used to seeing. They're used to kind of the hate from the left if you've been an activist, but you're just a kid. Have you ever experienced anything like this before where you're getting DM'd, messaged, emailed, like vile kind of hateful messages?
No, never. Honestly, I didn't think that was something that ever really happened. Like you see it, you hear people talk about it, but just in my mind, I could never imagine seeing someone standing up for what they're believing in and then just going to their Instagram and sending like a horrible, hateful, threatening message. Like I could just never see that happening. So it's really hard for me to just open stuff up and see all these hateful comments directed at me because I could just never imagine doing that to someone, even if I disagree with them, you know? So it was crazy.
Even this athlete, you didn't say anything mean or untoward. You never attacked them personally. You've never even even through like the keyboard warriors that have no courage. Like you've never done any of that. Even if you disagree with them, even if you don't agree that they as a male have any right to participate in female athletics and unfairly, you've never said anything unkind towards them. I know I already know this about you, but and it doesn't seem very fair, right?
Yeah, because so much of this, it's not about the individual athletes. It's not about the transgender people in the world. It's about the adults in charge who have failed to protect us girls in our sports. That is who we are trying to get the attention of and who we are trying to say we are not okay with what they're doing. At the end of the day, all of us up on that podium were just kids. We're all just learning who we are, trying to go through life, and we were failed by the adults in charge who didn't protect us. So that's who I have a problem with. I do not have any problem with any of the athletes who are up on that podium or any transgender people, anything like that.
Yes, you're right. The adults have failed you. That's who have failed. That there is a child that is allowed that is actually encouraged or affirmed as they suffer from from a mental illness, a discomfort with their body, that adults are affirming and allowing that child to live this lie, but also to compete and to with biological females. I don't blame the kid. I blame the adults. I say the adults have failed in their job to do their job and to do what's right, do what's fair, and to protect all children, all children. And I think, have you ever had an experience like with Paula Scanlon, like with Riley Gaines, where you've had to change in a locker room with a biological male?
No, I thankfully have not.
Because that's even more terrifying in my opinion. That's scary. It's you feel a sense of injustice when you have to compete in a track event with a biological male. But I
Yes.
think you feel a sense of terror and that when you have to change or they're in your shower room in your private area.
Yes,
And
that just it would feel like an invasion of privacy to me. I would feel very uncomfortable just not having someone of my same sex in a locker room that's supposed to be a protected, a safe area where we can change and kind of do all of our stuff. Just the fact that biological men are allowed to do that and can just say, I feel like a girl, I'm gonna go into this locker room today. Like, it's just a very uncomfortable situation.
especially now you're grown up, imagine 10-year-old little girls. What about
Yeah,
middle school girls who are already, I mean, when we're 13, how shy, uncomfortable we are. We don't even want to change in front of other girls. More or
yeah.
less, biological boys or men that are allowed to use these spaces. It's just uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right.
Yes,
And
definitely. And it can be unsafe, especially if it's someone who's coming in there with ill intentions, who just sees this as an opportunity to get into women's spaces. That's really what I think a huge problem is these people who aren't even transgender, who just see these as opportunities to come into women's spaces and do stuff like that. I think that's really a big problem because that's a safety issue for everybody.
now do you play volleyball in college in Alabama?
No, I do not. I just do track.
You do track, but you played volleyball when you were in high school. And that's
Yes.
more of contact sport in the sense that, though, I mean, my daughter played volleyball for a little while and we go to the volleyball games. But when they're like, when you're spiking the ball, I mean, that is pretty fast and it can cause damage, as we have seen. Now,
Mhm.
there's an issue where having a biological male on an all-female team competing can be a safety issue because it's a team sport and there are injuries.
Yeah, definitely, especially in more contact sports like volleyball, like basketball, soccer, all that kind of stuff. If we keep seeing this issue progress before we can get protections, I think we're going to see so many more injuries by girls just because these biological men, they do tend to be bigger, they tend to be stronger, they tend to have more testosterone, which makes them faster, more powerful. So putting them in that kind of closed space where they're going to be like in physical contact, kind of in these physical sports, I think that's just going to be really dangerous and not safe for anyone out on the fields.
How do you feel when adults, because I've seen it, adults will tell you that there's no biological difference between males and females. Testosterone doesn't make a difference. Um, I mean, as as an adult, I'm like, are you crazy? But as a kid, when you see adults telling you that, how does that make you feel about adults and how you look at the world?
When I hear people that talk like that, it just part of it kind of amazes me, but part of it I also maybe they don't understand. Maybe they haven't participated in sports. I kind of try to see both sides of it that maybe they don't understand the difference, but then I also think about the biology classes I've taken my entire life, the sports I participated in, how men's volleyball nets are higher than women's volleyball nets because men can jump higher. There's just all these little things throughout life that kind of differentiate the ability of men and women. And that's not to say that women aren't capable and amazing and strong and powerful. Just the way that we're built, we don't have the same athletic advantages as men. And I think it's kind of an obvious thing when you think about biology, when you look at the stats of the average height of a man, average weight, like how fast they can run a mile, that kind of stuff. It's always going to be greater for men than it is for women. And I just see that as a science-based thing. So when I hear people talking about that, I just kind of hope that they take a biology class.
So I'm going to pull up, and I talked with Jennifer Say yesterday. I know you know her well.
Yes.
And this is a website we were discussing, shewon.org. And I've used this when I've gone to testify for protections for women and girls in sports. And what's really interesting here, and I encourage anyone, if they are sort of faced with these bad arguments that, oh, it's, you know what, there's no difference, there's that's old science, you know, there's new science, or they say this isn't happening, biological men aren't taking the spots of biological females. So here she won, and according to Jennifer, this is actually outdated numbers. She has some other numbers that are actually higher, but you can see the number of female athletes, the number of medals, competitions, and sports, the opportunities lost to women. And here, I mean, here you go. It's thousands, and
Yeah.
and if you want to, so if and this is there's just really good data, so you could see, look at track and field, this is your area, so that is
Yes.
the area where a lot of these males are pretending to be females, claiming to be females, and look at 1,932 males are participating in female sports right now. That's a lot to me. One is too many,
Yeah.
but this is a lot. And I think now we're not seeing as much in these more contact sports, but we definitely will if we don't change. These are the number of lost podium spots: first place, second place, third place.
Yeah, it's a
So
lot.
it's a lot. And so when you stood up, this is you're fighting to make this stop, because it will
Yes.
only grow. It will only grow. And there is more data here, and I know I'll stop sharing, but there's more data there that will talk to you about, so that you can have this debate. It is a slam dunk, one that you can win. Unfortunately, you can't just say, oh, look at the differences, even though it's so obvious. Look at the differences.
Yes.
Yes, there's a difference between men and women. Doesn't make one superior to the other. It's just different. It is why we have female sports and why Title IX was created, to protect women, to give them opportunities that they did not have prior to 1972. Title IX gave women opportunities to actually play sports, to play them in high school, to have those sports funded equally, and then the protections so that women and girls would not be harassed and bullied and face sex discrimination. It was inherently a binary, male, female. And when you change the definition of women to include anybody who can claim they're a woman, then Title IX is eviscerated, because the whole point of it is to protect women and to give females opportunities in athletics and in academics. These are opportunities that were not afforded to women. These are new. These are relatively new. And it's just shocking to me. I'm sorry, I'm going on my rant right now. But what do you think of women who call themselves feminist and who deny biological reality and tell you that a woman is anything that, if you put on lipstick and you grow your hair out and you paint your nails and you say, hey, I'm a woman, that makes you a woman? What do you think of the so-called feminists who espouse that view?
I think it's a very complicated topic because in the world of sports, like we are separated for a reason because we have different abilities. In the walks of life, I don't care how people choose to live their life because it's none of my business. If they choose that they want to be they were born a male, they want to be a female, they want to dress up like a woman, all that kind of stuff. I don't think that's my business or my place to tell them. It is my business when it starts to affect me and other girls and our opportunities
Mhm.
that we should be having but are taken away by biological males, like the girls who didn't even get to go to state because they were beat by a biological man at districts, or the girls who didn't get to even be on that podium or were bumped down a place and scored less points for their team. When it starts to affect others, I think that's when it becomes an issue.
Yes, for me, and I agree. When it comes to how an individual chooses to live their life, that's up to them. It's about when there's the demand that I affirm it or that I deny biological reality and truth and tell them what they want to hear instead. Like Jennifer says, their feelings don't trump facts, and their feelings don't mean that. I don't have to affirm anyone's feelings. I have the right to not do that. And so,
Yes.
how one wants to live their life, that's up to them. They just can't tell me that I have to affirm it, that I have to participate, and that I have to celebrate it. Now, that is when my First Amendment rights get infringed, and that's when my values have to take a second place to someone else's, and then that's not fair. So that's
Yes, I definitely agree. That's kind of what happened to us when we expressed our concerns, expressed our frustrations with this issue. Our First Amendment rights were violated. We were not really allowed to speak on this. We were kind of pushed off to the side, be like, you guys can't do that, like kind of shut down in our movement. And
yeah. So if this person's in your school and they're not using your spaces and they're not demanding to be recognized as a biological female, and they're not competing against you or with you in sports, you're you don't have a problem. You're just, it's only a problem when your when biological reality is challenged, and when your safety is at stake, and when fairness is kind of thrown out the window.
Yes, I think that's the main issue. There is no protections. There is no protections for girls' safety and girls' spaces, and that's really what we want. We're not out here trying to tell anyone you can't live your life like this, because we all have one life. Live it the way that you feel happiest, but don't let it affect other people in a negative way. We
Mhm.
need these kind of protections so that people can't see this as an opportunity to be like, oh, hey, I can go compete in girls' sports if I want to. I can go into the girls' locker rooms if I want to. We need to take it away as an opportunity for people to be able to do that, because that's not okay. It's not safe. It's not fair.
Yeah.
And honestly, it compromises the integrity of women's sports to be allowing biological men in, because what happens when they start setting national records? Are those ratified? Are they kind of like taken a secondary to the actual record? Like, we don't know.
And now there's a recent, I don't know if you've heard about Tish, so I'm going to pull this up because it's something that Tish Hyman, and she is a Black lesbian. She's an artist, and she has gone viral because she was in her gym working out, and there was an obvious male that walked into the women's changing space. And this is a guy that has like a little bit of lipstick on an eyeliner, but looks like a male. And that wasn't the first instance. There were many others. And so this is her first time, kind of like with you, her first time speaking out, where she went viral because she's like, hey, get out. You can't be in there. You can't be in there. And when she did that, they kicked her out, and they took away her membership to this gym. And now she's really fighting back. This is a person, a Democrat, considered like never voted Republican. And now this one instance has her eyes opened because, she's had some conversations with friends of mine where she's like, I now can see like reality. I didn't understand until this happened to me. And now she's being called a bigot. Of all things, she is a Black lesbian, an outspoken and famous. And now she's a bigot, which is insane. That's insane. So I think that goes to show they'll call anyone a name just if they don't align, if they won't, alter their reality and be nice. And by being nice, it means I will sacrifice myself, I will sacrifice my children, and I will sacrifice my values on the altar of your ideology. And anyone who participates in that ritual, I feel sorry for them if they sacrifice what they believe in for that, because you lose a little bit of your soul when you participate in a lie. And I'm so glad that you, so young, so very young, recognized that there are eternal truths, and there are things that a person just absolutely must stand up for. And that's very rare, Alexa. It's very, very rare.
Thank you. Yeah, I think people are going to disagree throughout all walks of life. Nobody's ever going to agree on anything. And a huge problem that we see here is people aren't willing to hear out the other side. They jump to name calling. They jump to hateful things. Nobody listens. People will see what I've done, but they won't hear what I say when I talk, when I tell them what it's about, what I stand for. And they jump to all these names of, you're a horrible person, you're a bully, like you hate everyone, like all this kind of stuff. And it's just hard because I want to have an honest conversation. I want to talk with the people who disagree. I want to hear their side. I want to share mine. I want to see if we can find common ground, find an understanding, or if not, we go about our days and we live our lives respectfully. We don't need to be at each other's throat because we don't disagree. I think that's one of the hardest things about all these issues.
Yeah, we don't, and that's what we are a better country when we don't all agree on everything. And friends can disagree, family can disagree. We don't have to have a unimind. We don't have to all think alike. And believe me, I have been involved in conservative politics for a long time. And no one, I'm telling you, especially because conservatives are very much individuals and into their nature is to not agree. So it's okay. It's okay to not agree on everything. It's okay to have your different religions, different values, just everyone's living a different life. It's when you try to impose your values on somebody else, and when you are in denial of reality too, that is important. We have to say, if a kid if a parent has a child that is struggling through this identity issue, the best thing to say is, no, you are a boy, and I love you so much, and I am here for you, and I'm going to do everything I can to get you through this. But what I won't do is I won't let you live a lie. And through love, we are going to get through this. I'm going to fight for you. And I think that's the healthy thing to do, and that's the right thing to do. But again, that's my opinion, and you can take it or leave it, but I'm allowed to have it. And
yes,
everyone else is allowed to have their opinion as well. And I mean, that's who we are. I mean, when people really talk to us, they realize, like, oh wait, you're not a monster who hates everybody. Okay, you're a decent person who's actually more tolerant and open-minded than those on the left. That's what I find every day of the week and twice on Sunday. More tolerant, more open-minded, demonstrably more kind, and you exemplify that. Now, I want to play some really good news that you were the recipient of a really prestigious award. And I'm going to bring this up, and we're going to that's an image of you pole vaulting, which is also very beautiful.
Both honored at last night's Patriot Awards, receiving the most valuable Patriot Award.
I'm so incredibly grateful, and none of this would have been possible without the support of every single one of you who has seen our story, who has shared it and brought our story and our fight into the national spotlight. So thank all of you.
I want to start off by thanking God. I thank God that you're all here tonight. And I thank God that He gave Alexa and I the courage to stand for truth. I also want to thank everyone, especially my parents, who have supported me, encouraged me, and believed in me even when I was unsure of the impact our decision to step off the podium would have. There are so many girls who deserve this award for their courage.
And joining us now are those Patriot Award winners. We have Alexa Anderson and Reese Eckard. So nice to see both of you. Congratulations on receiving this award. Not easy to stand up for what you believe in. What was the reaction first from getting that award? What are your thoughts there? And what was the reaction from your friends?
Oh my gosh, to get that award was honestly just such an honor. It was never something that I thought would happen when we stepped off that podium. So I was so incredibly honored and so grateful and so happy to be here with you today. And then friends and family have been very, very supportive. I'm so grateful for everyone. My mom who's here with me today. I love you guys. So
that's amazing. You need those people to surround you because people will write the nastiest things online. Reese, how about you? Both of y'all are at the college level now. You're at South Alabama, and you're at Biola, which is a Christian school in California. So you've continued to pursue your dreams with track. But what did that mean to you to receive this award and to be recognized for standing up for what you believe in?
Wow, it's just crazy to be able to stand up for all the girls who are trying to compete in just high school or college, just knowing that we fought so hard to protect women's rights in sports, and to be able to say that we took a stand is just amazing.
Alexa, the moment that y'all stood, you stepped off that podium and you turned your back, they stripped your medals from you, there was a lawsuit. Was it worth it?
100%. I think fighting for the rights of women's in sports to have a safe and fair environment, this could be a fight that we're going to be part of for years, maybe even our lifetime. And it is so incredibly worth it if we can help all these girls to have a safe and fair environment.
Yeah, we saw Riley Gaines stand up for women, and then she became pregnant and had a little girl. So it's interesting how God gave her a girl. She was standing up for the future of children, of girls, of women. Was it worth it to you, Reese?
100%. Yeah, I have 2 younger sisters who I think will compete at least in high school and maybe in college, but I was always just reminded that I wanted to stand up for them and for all the future girls.
Yeah. Elizabeth Eddy, I'm sure you're familiar with her story. She wrote an op-ed about this. She is a National Women's Soccer League player, a very good player, and she wrote this op-ed just saying that the Women's Soccer League needs to come up with some guidelines, and she got a lot of pushback, a lot of heat for it. Brian Kilmeade interviewed her the other day. Here's a little bit of her speaking on Fox and Friends.
I would say in the professional sports world, it's really tricky because speaking out is a really difficult thing to do because think about it. The mindset as a pro athlete is I work my entire life for this. I'll do anything it takes, whatever the cost. And then the flip side of that is even if I stay silent, even if I go along to get along, I'm willing to do that to play. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of my teammates, a lot of my peers do agree with what I'm trying to share, but they want to play back more than they want to speak up. And I understand that. And so there's a lot of fear involved because there's a high cost for it.
So Alexa, she handled that with grace. She said, I'm getting a lot of name calling, even from some of her teammates. And she said, I'm getting married. I still want them all to come to my wedding. What's your reaction?
I think that is so amazing of her to be such a big person that way, especially towards people who are being hateful towards her, because this message isn't about hate. Anything that she's saying, we're saying, none of this is about hate. None of this is about transphobia. It's just about protecting women and women's rights. So I applaud her for standing up and being so kind and gracious while doing it.
Reese, it's not for you. People can live their lives however they want, but this is about fairness and standing up for women so that we're not injured when we're playing sports against someone who's stronger.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to Elizabeth Eddy?
Yeah, I completely agree with Alexa and the fact that it's just about fairness in sports, not about what we think about if they want to be whatever they want to be, but it's just about sports and fairness and protecting girls.
Yeah. Well, I'm very proud of y'all. It's not easy to do what you're doing at the college level, so congratulations.
That was a great interview. That's a great interview. So talking about Elizabeth Eddy and what she's done, what do you think of what she's done? That took a lot of courage as well. And what effect do you think that's going to have on professional sports for women?
Yeah, I mean, seeing a professional athlete stand up for this issue was honestly really amazing. I was really inspired by that, and that she's so, she wants to fight this issue as much as we do. I think that's amazing, and the way that she's doing it is just so beautiful. She's been very kind. She's been very gracious with everything she says. She's spreading the same message we are, that we want protections. We want fairness. We don't want anything else. We're not out here trying to say anything else. We're not out here trying to spread hate. And I think that is so inspiring to have an elite level, a professional level athlete that has that kind of platform to be able to spread this message. And I think it's going to have a huge impact coming from her, someone with her kind of influence. I think that's amazing.
Yes. And this isn't political for you. This isn't, you didn't ask to be in the headlines. It's not something you wanted. You just wanted to stand up and do something right. And you just felt that in your heart. And that's really important, because they'll try and say, oh, this is political, or this isn't political for you guys. You're young. You've never been involved in anything like this before. Elizabeth Eddy, this isn't political for her. This is just about sincerely trying to do the right thing in the face of a whole lot of evil. It's really hard. It's the easiest thing in the world to just go along. It's the easiest thing for you to just go along. For Elizabeth to never say anything, for Riley to never say anything, it would be so easy. No one would say a word, but to do the right thing and to plant your feet and say to the world, no, you move, that's really brave. So when you were at this event, who did you get to meet?
Oh my goodness, there were so many amazing people there that we got to see, that we got to meet. Erica Kirk was there. She accepted an award. Melania Trump was there. She accepted an
Did you
award.
get to meet them?
I did get to meet them. I saw them on stage. I was kind of off in the corner. But
It's good enough
yeah,
for me.
there were so many other amazing Patriot Award winners. There was a young man who risked his life to save people who were in a car accident with like electrical fire. We got to meet him, hear his story. That was beautiful. There were so many amazing people there. And then, of course, we got to do an interview with Ainsley, which she is just so lovely. She was so incredibly kind. And she took a picture with us afterwards, which, of course, I'm going to cherish for the rest of my lifetime. So it
Oh,
was an amazing experience.
now that's the kind of award ceremony that I love to watch, and I loved watching it. Not the Academy Awards with all this strange, like Hunger Games, like costumes and weird people. This was like this was an award ceremony for heroes, for everyday heroes, for Americans doing the right thing, people who love their country. I love that Fox Nation is putting this on every year. As a matter of fact, Moms for Liberty was given during their very first award ceremony. Moms for Liberty was given an award. So, and they cherish that, the founders. So, I think that's amazing. And your dress was really pretty.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Very much on point. Now you mentioned, and just briefly, like, so there was a lawsuit, right? And you prevailed. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there are actually two active lawsuits in Oregon right now. There is a Title IX lawsuit against the OSA, the Oregon Schools Activities Association, about their Title IX violations, infringing upon girls' rights and violating Title IX. So that is one lawsuit. And then there is another lawsuit that is specifically centered around Reese and I and our First Amendment rights being violated when we were not allowed to peacefully protest, when we were not allowed to speak our truth. So those are the two active lawsuits that are going on right now. Neither have reached a conclusion, but I believe they're looking into settlements. I'm not exactly sure where that stands. I believe they're looking into settlements. They're gonna kind of go from there, see what happens.
So right now, and I'll pull this up, I have that. And who is representing you?
We are represented by a company called AFPI. They had first been in touch with Reese before the state meet where we took a step down, and then afterwards they kind of reached out to me and were like, hey, we would love to help you guys out. And they have been so amazing. They have been wonderful, amazing people.
America First Policy Institute, their legal team is representing you. I met your lawyer behind the scenes. She's wonderful, and we are great friends with AFPI. They do great work, and I'm so glad that they are representing you, because we don't have these public interest law firms engaging in these types of lawsuits. They're very expensive. I mean, your parents could not afford to do this. I know when I was sued, I couldn't afford to defend myself, and you wouldn't be able to afford to pursue this kind of legal action because the expertise required and how expensive it is. So it's great that there are these public interest law firms that are engaging in these cultural issues, because I really do think that at the end of the day, we're going to win these in the courts. We're going to win our rights in the courts.
Yes, definitely. I'm so grateful for them and everything they've done, how kind they've been and supportive. And they haven't just been like business lawyers. They've been calling us, being like, hey, are you guys okay? Like, how's everything going? Is there anything we can do to help? They've not only been professional, but they've been amazing, genuine people as well.
Yes, that's great. They are amazing. And so as we close, what message do you hope that other young women take from your example? From first stepping down from the podium to make a statement, to continuing on with athletics in college, and now you just got this award, and you're sticking with your lawsuit because you're determined to protect women and girls. What message do you want to send to young women who are watching this right now and who are big fans?
My message to all the girls out there who may be experiencing something similar or who are just watching is that you matter. Everybody matters, and they should have their spaces to be safe, to have fun, to learn, and to grow, and that your thoughts and your feelings are valid and you need to express those. Nothing's going to happen I'm going to quote Reese real quick because I love what she said. Nothing's going to happen if we do nothing. If you want change, you have to fight for it. So whatever you feel, whatever you value, go out there, make it heard, and fight for what you believe in. That's what I have to say to all of them.
And if there is a high school or middle school girl that loves her sport and she's competing, and there is a biological male either on her team or in her conference, so someone that she has to compete with, what is your advice to her as she's wondering, what do I do? As her family's wondering, what do we do about this? What should we do something? Should we say something?
My advice is to hold your truth, to do what feels right to you. In that moment for me, I knew that I would be very upset with myself if I didn't stand up for what I believe in. So if that's what you believe that that's not fair, you should stand up for that. And you should just continue fighting for what you think is right, because at the end of the day, someone has to say it. Someone has to go out there and start a fight, start a movement, and it's not going to happen if no one does it. So you got to stand up for what you believe in. You got to do what you think is right.
And would you tell them you're not alone, that that there is a community now for you? Like Jennifer Sayes talked about that. You guys, you're building a community.
Oh my gosh, yes, of course, of course. There are so many amazing and supportive people that when you stand up, people are going to have your back. There's going to be hate. There's going to be people who are mean, who don't understand. But more than that, there's going to be so many people who are rushing to stand behind you, who are telling you what you're doing is amazing. We got your back. Continue going. And I think that's such a huge part of why we've all been able to do this and continue with this fight. It's because of the supports, because of the community. I'm so grateful for everyone who's been a part of that.
Yes. And so now you're at the University of South Alabama. How do you see the future of women's sports, and what do you want college athletics to understand about protecting fairness?
In the future of women's sports, I hope that no other generations of female athletes will even have this issue cross their mind of who's allowed into their spaces. I hope this is never something that they even have to think about. And I hope that the people in charge who make these rules will really sit down and think, is this fair? Is this safe? Because at the end of the day, it's just not. And that's what we need people to realize, that this is about women's rights and protecting us females. And that's what we have to do.
Yes. And I think the more you speak out, the less likely that these individuals are going to participate, because maybe before everyone was quiet. Everyone just was quiet, and so it happened. But as soon as just a few speak out, then maybe an individual that thinks, oh, I'm going to, I competed as a male for the first 3 years of my collegiate life. This last year, I'm going to compete as a female and smoke those girls. Like, they will think, you know what, I probably shouldn't, because I don't want my name splashed all out there. And, so I think I'll just not do that. And I think that's kind of what we'd want to do, is just not make it easy for men to invade and take away our opportunities and take away our spots on the podium, the spots for my daughter in college. I mean, these are college scholarships.
Yes.
How many girls depend on a college scholarship to go to study at the college of their dreams?
So many. College is an amazing experience, is an amazing education, but it comes with a very hefty price tag. And for people like me who have trained in athletics our whole lives, that's how we are getting ourselves through college, is through those opportunities that we got by being on that podium, being at those big meets. So we need to make sure that those spots aren't taken away, because this is how I'm going to continue the rest of my life. I'm getting my education and I'm going to use that in my future career. But if it weren't for sports, I wouldn't be able to be here now getting all of this information.
And I would say to someone who thinks they don't understand, literally, like, when someone cuts in a line, I have seen people go irate. Like, that's not fair. How dare you cut the line at Disney World? You cut a line, everyone goes irate. So imagine when a male with all of their advantages takes the spot of a female. So just for a second, think of how it feels to train so hard, to work so hard, to have that camaraderie, and then to have a male come in and then compete against them. It's just that sense of like, this just isn't right. This isn't fair. It's not
Yes.
about being afraid to lose. When you're an athlete, you're used to losing. It's rare to win. You train so hard to win. It's not that you're like, oh, I don't want to lose. It's about the fairness of it. You're willing to lose if it's fair.
Yes, 100%. If you look at all of the handbooks anywhere in any sports division, no one is allowed to take testosterone because it is a performance enhancing drug. So when athletes have elevated testosterone levels, their performance is going to be better. So it's very contradictory to be able to say that, but to not be able to say that biological men have an advantage. And I think that that's just a very interesting part about it, and that none of us are scared of losing. I got third. I wasn't up there trying to argue saying, oh, I should have gone first. I got third because that's how I performed. But the girl in ninth, she should have been an eighth on that podium. She should have scored a point. It's not about losing. In sports, it's about your own personal performance and how you do compared to how your best self does. And this isn't about losing. This is just about having those opportunities to be fair and safe.
Yeah. And for those who need a quick biology lesson, increase testosterone, increase muscle mass, increase lung capacity. There are so many things, we can look at. I'll post that because sometimes I think people need a reminder that a male that goes through male puberty just has these inherent advantages, physical advantages. And I mean, that's why there are different standards for men and women when it comes to a lot of things as far as the performance. Now, doesn't mean that men are better than women. We're not saying any of that. It's just we have to be realistic, because if you apply the same standard to women as men, it's just not fair, and it's not in line with biological reality. Just as we have uteruses, we have a womb, we've got ovaries so we can have babies. There are things that we can do. We have a higher pain tolerance than men. And, this has nothing to do with men are smarter than women or anything like that. We are equal. We are equal. And believe me, my husband knows that. I might be more equal than him, but but it's nothing to do with that. It's just being real. That we just reality, because we love being women and we love our men, and we want you to be men. I love men and I love being a woman, and you just can't take that away from me and expect me to be quiet and sit down and shut up. So that's not going to happen. All right.
Yes.
Well, and you agree.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Alexa, thanks so much for coming on today. I know you have practice that you have to get to, but thank you for showing girls across America and the world what integrity looks like. And at a very young age, you're very special. I wish you all of success. I know that we'll talk again soon. At a different time, I'd like to talk to you not about this, just talk about being a Gen Z. Are you still Gen Z? Or
Yes, I am. I'm Gen Z.
The next generation, I forget what the name, Generation Alpha, I think. But just to kind of, because on my show, I talk to a lot of Gen Z women, just kind of, how do you see the future? Because I think we always talk about these issues, but I'm always interested also in just your opinion, just talking about, we've talked about fashion, things like that. So we could have a more fun,
I would love that. Yeah.
All right. Well, bye, Alexa. Thank you so much for coming on. And I wish you and your family all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining this Moms for Liberty Unleashed with me, Scarlett Johnson. This is a great show. I have learned a lot, and I am so proud to elevate such a beautiful human being. Alexa is truly someone that my girls can admire, and that all the girls in America, girls around the world can look up to and admire. And coming up next, I am going to have a conversation with Alexa's friends. They had different practice schedules. They are still very much involved in female athletics. So we will be talking to them very soon. So stay tuned.